Greetings again everyone, and today I'm putting together just a brief video to check out how the Sony E-mount version of this highly regarded Viltrox lens performs, their autofocus 56mm f1.7. It's already available on Nikon Z and Fuji X mounts, and some of the sample pictures you'll see in today's review are actually from the Fuji X version, although obviously all the test pictures and footage you'll see are from this new Sony version. It's an aps-c or DX camera lens, and so it does not provide a full frame image. If you have a full frame camera, here's what the picture will look like, unless you shoot in crop mode. The lens will cost $180 and I'd like to thank Viltrox very much for sending me a copy of this lens for evaluation, although as usual this is a totally independent review. In this video, I'm going to compare how the Sony E version handles its electronics and autofocus and how sharp its images look on a 24-megapixel Sony aps-c sensor. If you want to find out more about the lens and how its optics perform, then take a look at my full review down in the description below, and if I remember, I'll pin it up in the comments. 56mm on an aps-c camera is the full frame equivalent of 84mm, so that's a classic and versatile portrait focal length, perfect for really emphasizing whatever your subject happens to be, and f1.7 is a decently bright aperture for getting out of focus backgrounds and for shooting in darker situations. This lens has great potential, although obviously wide angle photography is out of the question here. The lens's construction is dead simple, but it doesn't feel too low quality. Although it weighs under 200 grams, it does feel just about solid enough in your hand. It's based on a metal lens mount with a USB-C port for firmware updates, but there's no weather sealing here. Then comes the lens's only control point, a plastic focus ring, which turns extremely smoothly. The lens's manual focus response was precise enough, although not lightning fast. The lens's autofocus motor works accurately with an almost silent whirring sound. In single-shot autofocus mode it's a bit slow. Switch over to continuous autofocus mode though and it's way faster. The lens has a small 52mm filter thread and it comes with a small plastic lens hood. It does not feature image stabilization. Overall, considering its rock-bottom price, the build quality here is absolutely fine. So let's take a look at image quality. I'll be testing it today on a Sony 24-megapixel aps-c camera. In-camera corrections are turned on for this test. At f1.7 in the middle of the image, picture quality is just averagely sharp and contrast just good. The good news though is that the image corners look just as sharp. In fact, the contrast actually looks a little punchier here, but there's also some darkness from vignetting. Stop down to f2.8 for perfect brightness and sharpness in the corners, and back in the middle, contrast is perfect now too. Nice! The lens stays this sharp down to f11, although at f16 we see softness creeping in due to the effects of diffraction. Overall though, on Sony the lens is still pretty good, especially if you stop it down and especially for such a low budget option. When it comes to vignetting and distortion, performance against bright light, chroma levels and bokeh, well, naturally all that stuff is the same as the original Fuji version of the lens, so check out my full review to find out more about those. Overall, the Sony E-mount version of this excellent lens works perfectly fine. It's a little smoother to manually focus, the sharpness is still there, and the autofocus is fine, although for the fastest performance you should shoot in your Sony camera's continuous autofocus mode. So considering its very good value for money, the lens still has to come recommended.